The harvest tax has increased. 3 jars of grain per family.
But last season it was 2.
It is written.
I can't read.
Exactly. By order of the council, this man is condemned. Silence! The sentence is final!
Imagine a world where written words did not exist, where wheels were not known, where cities had never been built. This was Earth 6,000 years ago, 4,000 BC, when everything we take for granted today was still a dream. But then, something changed, and it changed us forever. What you're about to hear is the story no history book truly shows you. Stay with me, because what happens next will leave you speechless. Welcome back to Capture Smart, the channel where we dive into the secrets of the past to unlock the truth about who we are and how we got here. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from right now? Is history near you, or did it start half a world away? If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because we're exploring mysteries that will reshape your understanding of humanity. Alright, let's go. Back in the 4th millennium BC, between 4000 and 3000 BC, the world was on the edge of something huge. People were farmers, hunters, builders, but not yet record keepers. No writing, no huge cities, just villages scattered across river valleys. Then, one by one, everything began to change. In ancient Mesopotamia, a region we now call Iraq, the earliest urban centers slowly emerged. People began gathering near the life-giving rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, and over time, these became something far bigger than simple towns. They became some of the first cities in human history. And here's where it gets unbelievable. For the first time in human existence, words were written down. People scratched symbols onto clay tablets. This wasn't just drawings, it was writing, the very beginning of recorded history. Have you ever wondered how writing changed the world? Tell me in the comments, could you imagine your life without writing? And not long after, the wheel appeared, not just for pottery, but for transport. Imagine the first time someone looked at a round shape and thought, what if we use this for movement? Despite all this innovation, the world's population stayed surprisingly stable, around 50 million people. Think about that, the entire planet, only a fraction of the people living in one modern metropolis. And now, this is where history stops being quiet and starts becoming dangerous. Because when writing appeared in Mesopotamia, it didn't just record trade, it created power. For the first time, information could be controlled, and whoever controlled information controlled society. In the cities forming in southern Mesopotamia, especially during what historians call the Uruk period, administrators began tracking grain, livestock, labor. At first, it was simple tally marks, but those marks evolved into symbols, and those symbols became the earliest form of cuneiform writing. Think about that. For 200,000 years of human existence, no one wrote anything down, and then suddenly, humans began recording reality itself. Can you imagine the first person who realized, my thoughts can outlive me? Pause for a moment. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your city and country in the comments, because 6,000 years ago, your ancestors were alive during this transformation. Now here's where it gets powerful. Writing didn't just preserve ideas, it created hierarchy. Those who could write became elite, those who couldn't depended on them. Imagine standing in a marketplace in 3300 BC. A scribe stands above the crowd holding a clay tablet. He reads numbers aloud, he announces taxes, he declares ownership. If you couldn't read, you had to trust him. That was the first public humiliation of civilization. Knowledge divided people, and division creates power. But something even bigger was happening, the wheel. At first used for pottery, spinning clay into uniform vessels, Then someone had the audacity to place that circular innovation beneath a platform. Transportation changed forever. Before wheels, everything moved by muscle. After wheels, distance shrank, trade routes expanded, ideas traveled, conflict traveled, opportunity traveled, and with trade came something new: wealth inequality. Some cities grew richer than others, some leaders rose higher, and this is where Egypt enters the story. Along the Nile River, settlements were also evolving rapidly. By the late 4th millennium BC, Upper and Lower Egypt were developing distinct political identities. Eventually, they would unify under one ruler, but before that, rivalry shaped them. Competition is one of civilization's hidden engines. It forces innovation, it forces strength, it forces survival. Now think about your own life. Has competition ever pushed you to grow? Comment below, I want to know. Meanwhile, metal was quietly entering human history. The late 4th millennium marks the transition toward the Bronze Age. Copper was being smelted and shaped. Stone was no longer humanity's only tool. For thousands of years, humans were limited by rock. Now they could reshape the earth itself. Metal tools cut deeper, built stronger, lasted longer. And when stronger tools exist, stronger structures follow. Temples grew larger, city walls rose higher, architecture became symbolic. These weren't just buildings anymore, they were statements. They said, we are powerful, we are organized, we are permanent. But permanence is an illusion. Many early cities eventually collapsed. Climate shifts, resource depletion, internal conflict. Even the strongest systems can fracture. And here's the lesson no one talks about. The 4th millennium BC was not just about progress, it was about risk. For the first time in history, humans concentrated themselves in dense urban centers. Disease spread faster, conflict intensified, dependence increased. Before cities, if one group failed, others survived. After cities, collapse could mean total disaster. Civilization created greatness, but it also created vulnerability. Does that sound familiar? Today, we live in hyper-connected megacities, global trade, digital writing, information elites. Sound familiar? History doesn't repeat, but it echoes. And here's the emotional twist. Despite the rise of writing, wheels, metal, and cities, the global population remained relatively stable, around 50 million. Innovation didn't immediately explode human numbers. It changed quality, not quantity. It changed structure, not scale. Progress is often quiet at first. The biggest revolutions begin subtly. Clay tablets, spinning wheels, smelted copper, nothing flashy. Yet those small changes build everything you see today. Your phone, your house, your country, your laws. Trace them back far enough, and you'll find yourself standing in the 4th millennium BC Mesopotamia, or beside the Nile, or in a small village discovering metallurgy. That is the hidden power of this era. It was the seed stage of civilization, and seeds don't look impressive until they grow forests. So the next time someone says ancient history doesn't matter, remember this. Without those first scribes, no contracts. Without the first wheels, no transportation networks. Without early metallurgy, no industry. Without early cities, no nations. And here's the part most people miss. Those early innovators had no blueprint. They were experimenting, failing, trying again. They were humans, just like you. The difference, they acted, they built, they risked. And sometimes they were publicly wrong, but they kept going. That is the real story of the 4th millennium BC. Not just dates, not just artifacts, but courage, innovation, and transformation. If you've made it this far, comment the word civilization. because that tells me you're part of the few who think deeply. And if you don't want to miss the next chapter, when Egypt unifies, when writing evolves, when empires rise, subscribe to Capture Smart, because in our next story, you'll see how one ruler changes history forever. And trust me, you won't see it coming.